So I'm sitting with Ralph from the Alpin family, and I've had a few conversations with you, Ralph, and try and help me out here because I would be the new investor who really doesn't understand it. You know, I had property, for example, in Spain, but this is Austria, and everywhere is different, isn't it? And what is the difference between these places?
I think we have to start that every state or province has its own laws. So
In Austria,
in Austria. So, and I think when we talk about our properties we sell, we can concentrate on the states which have the mountains.
Okay, so like Tyrol and Salzburg.
Like Tyrol, Salzburg, Vorarlberg, maybe a little bit of Styria.
Okay.
Steiermark. Huh? And there you will see that between the states or province, maybe we call it state, it's good. Huh?
Yeah, states or regions.
Yeah. That every state has its own laws and they're quite different. But yeah, they have something common, but they are different in every state.
Yeah, that's always, because I've lived in Austria for a while, and that's always shocked me how in one region like Salzburg, it can be so different than in Tyrol. And you think, is this the same country? Because the law, they have their own little quirks of doing it. You obviously must have been through all those hurdles and difficulties and worked out what works best in which region.
Yeah, like I think the main issue you have, like how can I use the property myself? Is it a second home, a second residence? How can I use my investment? Can I stay there? Can I not stay there? I think that are differences between the states. Okay. And I think the main thing is that it's not a second home or a second residence.
Okay, so this old style where you could have a Ferienwohnung, I think it was called, like a holiday apartment to let, where you could use it at your will when you wanted to, but then get somebody, booking.com or whoever, to rent it out. That doesn't really work in the same way as it used to?
Our properties doesn't have that kind of license or zoning, because the example you make is what we call in Austria Zweitwohnsitz or Freizeitwohnsitz.
Okay.
And then in the zoning plans of every gemeinde or of every village, you will have this is a special zoning. So, and only in this special zoning, or when it has the license on the property, it is allowed to use it like that, so that you can say, I use it like my second home, maybe I rent out. That's only possible when it has this Zweitwohnsitzgenehmigung or Freizeitwohnsitzgenehmigung. That's very rare.
Okay.
In the past there were some, but it's very rare. So anybody who can buy a property with that kind of license or zoning, and the price is reasonable, always buy directly.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I saw that when you buy that type of property, they literally put on another 30–40% on the property price.
At least, yeah, because it's
now
very rare, yeah. And that is also the big difference between the product we offer. We don't offer a second home or Freizeitwohnsitz or Zweitwohnsitz. We offer you an investment. And maybe when you're lucky, depending on the state, you can be the guest in your investment, because that's different in every state. Right. And some of the states are more clear on that, like Vorarlberg is very clear. There you can use your property 6 weeks a year. Maximum 3 weeks at once, but you cannot have any extra benefit than other guests have. Right. So you pay for staying in your own apartment.
And I imagine this is all to do with the fact that in Austria it was getting very difficult for workers and locals to find property, because people were buying up all the properties that, for rental purposes, I suppose.
Yes and no. I think the local authorities don't want to have cold beds or unused beds, empty bed. What we know from Spain, where you have all the shutters down, here they want warm beds, because they only have quite little land available for development. So when the land they have, they want to use very smart and in a good way. So I think that's quite
clever. Yeah, because that means people, when there's hotbeds, in effect, people are going to restaurants, they're going skiing, they're going hiking, they're doing all the other activities and bringing finance into Austria as well.
Yeah, or into the region.
Into the region, yeah. And that's why, I mean, one thing I notice in Austria compared with many places I've been is how well maintained the streets are and how it always looks perfect because everybody's paying so much taxes, I suppose, here as well.
We pay some taxes in Austria, and Austria is quite nice and good organized, and I think that's also one of the benefits having property in Austria, because it's stable. We have a Grundbuch, which is very good and sure, so you can really rely on, because we have other countries very close to just drive 4 or 5 hours from here, and they don't have a good Grundbuch or land register.
And that's not really an intelligent investment then. I would have said the stability here is obviously, and the reliability of the government here, etc., must be a positive sign.
And you see that we have a value increase very stable, at least 3%, and when it's not 3, it is at least 5 a year.
Yeah, location-wise, you're situated in some top-end places, Kaprun, Zalmzee.
I think where we as an operator and developer, when we look for new properties or projects, we always look that it has 2 seasons at least, when it's not 4 seasons. So for us it's very important to have a good winter season and a good summer season, because there's very nice destinations, for example in Tyrol, where winter is great, but you don't want to be there in summer. And then it means that you only have the winter months, like 3-4 months, where you can generate income, but you have costs all year. And also for staff.
What do you do with the staff? And it's difficult to re-employ staff.
Or you have to find every season you start with a new team. It's also not good.
This is an investment in a property that you know is always increasing in value, and on top of that there's a guaranteed annual return coming back of some sort, and a profit share.
Not all the properties have this guarantee, so we now have 2 projects on sale that have a guarantee for the first 2 or 3 years to give some confidence or stable income the first years, like starting new business. And that's why we as a developer said, okay, no worries, we will give you a little basic guarantee, so you have a safe start, and then when the hotel is running, it will go ahead.
Yeah, and having the ability to have either 2 or 4 seasons means that from the profit sharing side, I assume that, and I look at your infographics, I see sometimes your nightly, how many beds you're selling, if you like, on holidays seems to be going up and up and up. It's getting a very popular destination here. Yeah,
but there are also destinations we choose which are not popular yet, but has the potential to gonna be very popular.
Nowadays, for example, I spent time there and I was very shocked and impressed at that corner between Italy and Switzerland, the skiing. Then on top of that, the fact that there was the summer mountain biking and
they also have the lake with kite surfing, and I think that's very, very important. Like Nauders is a very good example. I think there the summer maybe even bring more income, is stronger than the winter. There you can easily operate 10 months when it's not 11 a year. So only after Easter, when the snow is getting, and then that is the only point, in my opinion, Austria doesn't really look nice a few weeks, because it's like muddy and
drooling, matching snow and coming to spring. But yeah, you're right. But very quickly it turns to what? I mean, even May is starting.
It's green.
And it makes, and there's nothing more beautiful than autumn in Austria, and somewhere like Nauders is going to be an incredible environment, or the Gasthaus in Zalmzee, which is another opportunity.
Zalmzee is really like all-year destination. It really has 4 seasons with the lake, with the glacier. In Kaprun, I think that's really.
I think I've learned quite a bit from this first talk, but it is something, if I was a first-time investor, particularly, I'd be a bit concerned about. So I think it's great having this conversation, and maybe even more in depth as we go through these videos in the next few weeks. Well, thanks very much, Rob. It's been nice to get informed.
And everybody subscribe.
Subscribe. He's getting that word almost there.
Almost.
Subscribe.
Subscribe and be part of the family.
Bye for now.